Hi all and welcome back. We're now going to go into a technology that's come up in the past week, and it seems to come up increasingly now. But hacked documents revealed this week that the FBI is concerned some people may be using Ring or other smart doorbells to watch the police. And the problem is, and the papers describe a 2017 incident where someone remotely watched live footage of police preparing to serve a search warrant. And the information was found online by The Intercept amongst some hacked documents. Now, previously, privacy advocates have raised concerns about data from smart doorbells being shared with the police, and the hacked papers known collectively as Blue Leaks were stolen from more than 250 police websites. Now, the document in question is a technical analysis bulletin offering an overview of the opportunities and challenges for police from home security systems and smart doorbells. They're not smart. And the 2017 incident describes how someone under investigation was able to covertly monitor law enforcement activity while law enforcement was on the premises and alert his neighbour and landlord. And it does not name the brand of the video doorbell used. But yet again, our show proven correct, and yet again, more hypocrisy from the so-called authorities. We can film, spy, and eavesdrop on you all day and night, but point a phone camera or a bell at them, and suddenly things are just not acceptable. Touché. Elon Musk, next, is due to demonstrate a working brain-to-machine interface as part of his ambitious plans to give people superhuman powers. No, it's not. It's transhumanism, jackass. And his brain-hacking company, Neuralink, applied to start human trials next year. No doubt all the jackasses bots who lined up to have chips put on their skin will step forward. Well, make our day. But Friday's demonstration will involve a robot and neurons firing in real time, a series of tweets has revealed. And the interface could allow people with neurological conditions. Yeah, if you really think it's to help people, forget it. To control phones or computers with their mind. But the long-term ambition is to usher in an age of what Mr. Musk calls superhuman cognition. And he said people need to merge with artificial intelligence, he says. Why would we need to merge with something that's artificial? We have the original intelligence, jackass. And he says, in part, to avoid a scenario where AI becomes so powerful it destroys the human race. No shit, Sherlock. So why don't you make something that stops the AI then, Mr. Musk? There I go again, talking common sense and asking common sense questions. Now, founded in 2017, Neuralink has worked hard to recruit scientists, something Mr. Musk was still advertising for on Twitter last month. And the device the company is developing consists of a tiny probe containing more than 3,000 electrodes attached to flexible threads thinner than a human hair, which can monitor the activity of 1,000 brain neurons. And in its last update, more than a year ago, the company said it carried out tests on a monkey. I didn't know Pelosi and Biden had been tested on, but there you go. That had been able to control a computer with its brain. Could have just used Bill Gates. And it has also built a neurosurgical robot that it says can insert, here we go again, that number that came up again, 192 electrodes into the brain every minute. And the University of Pittsburgh Assistant Professor of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, Jennifer Collinger, described what Mr. Musk was trying to do as, quote, truly disruptive technology in a difficult space of medical technology. Neuralink has significant resources and critically a team of scientists, engineers and clinicians working towards a common goal which gives them a greater chance of success, she said. But she added, even with these resources, medical device development takes time and safety needs to be a top priority. So I suspect the process may take longer than they have stated as their goals. Musk needs to work out how his own brain operates before meddling with anybody else's. Addled with drugs and too much money before engaging other people's brains. Just saying. The practicality of quantum computing hangs on the integrity of the quantum bit or qubit. And qubits are the logic elements of quantum computers and are coherent on two-level systems that represent the quantum information. Each qubit has the strange ability to be in a quantum superposition, carrying aspects of both states simultaneously and enabling a quantum version of parallel computation. I imagine that mind boggled most people, and I get that. It's a bit like the cell for a baby. It starts off with one cell. That cell then disappears into a different time and space and then comes back as two. And this is how quantum computing works. Quantum computers, if they can be scaled to accommodate many qubits on one processor, could be dizzyingly faster and able to handle far more complex problems, it is said, than today's conventional computers. But it all depends on qubits' integrity, or perhaps its intent. Take note, scientists. Or how long it can operate before its superposition and the quantum information are lost. A process called decoherence, which ultimately limits the computer runtime because it's not in the same time space is why. Superconducting qubits, a leading qubit modality today, have achieved exponential improvements in this key metric from less than 1 nanosecond in 1999 to around 200 microseconds today for the best performing devices. But researchers at MIT, no surprise, and also Pacific Northwest National Laboratory have found that a qubit's performance will soon hit the wall. I wonder why. And in a paper published today in Nature, the team reports that the low-level, otherwise harmless background radiation that is emitted by trace elements in concrete walls and incoming cosmic rays are enough to cause decoherence in qubits. And they found that this effect, if left unmitigated, will limit the performance of qubits to just a few milliseconds. Oh my. And they said, given the rate at which scientists have been improving qubits, they may hit this radiation-induced wall in just a few years. It's happening now. And it's not radiation. And they said to overcome this barrier, scientists will have to find ways to shield qubits and any practical quantum computers from low-level radiation, perhaps by building the computers underground or designing qubits that are tolerant to radiation's effects. They've been building these qubits and quantum systems, or fake quantum systems, underground for decades. So, to some in the alt media, you should know and act better. My stance on technology has never wavered, no matter who presents it. And that is called being consistent. But some wish to play the divide and conquer game. But my stance is to look at all possibilities as any respected researcher or broadcaster should do. And if that makes me the bad guy for warning about technology whilst others jump at an opportunity, some with dollar signs flashing in their eyes, without going into all aspects of the technology, then I am happy to do so. And allow the thinking people an opportunity to make their own informed choice. Now, with that said, and proof I do listen to both sides, here is a portion of a letter from a person who has used the biomachine, and we can add more narrative to the balance of the discussion without blindly jumping into things too few have any knowledge of, including me. So the person said, I've had 2 sessions on a quantum biofeedback machine and I can tell you it works. But it's not new, but it has been around for a long time. The drug and medical power brokers have tried to suppress it for years. The person then cautioned, but it's not for everyone. I believe this machine will not work on a bot or anyone who is seriously not interested in going within, doing their shadow work and healing their soul spirit. There is no competition to doctors or nurses because bots need drugs to heal. High vibrational beings do not. For those who are trying to go within and clear themselves, this machine helps. Sometimes the trauma is so deep the individual cannot locate it, and for however it works, the machine will detect it. It allows the client to look, think, ponder on the charge located by the machine and release the charge, clearing the trauma that has been stored in the body aura, causing wrong thinking and also ill health. And the person said, this is why I think it could help some PTSD patients. And it's also why many will reject it. Bots can't understand it. It cannot be explained publicly on a broad scale. I spent the summer in high altitude and had difficulty breathing. I passed it off to altitude. The machine spotted the pressure in the chest. The technician asked me about it and bam, I blew some unknown past life charge that I didn't know I had. Within an hour, I was able to walk several miles without huffing or puffing, and it wasn't altitude. It also helped me with another personal matter I didn't know I needed help with. The person repeated again, this is not for everyone. And there's no point in discussing this kind of technology. Bots will reject it. Humans will find it on their own. The minute someone starts promoting a new technology with a broad brush, I know trouble is on its way. These are not my words. And some technology will attract bots, such as new vaccines and a new drug, while other healing technology will attract real humans. We who are awake know that. So that's the other side of it. Now, frequencies can and are used for good and bad purposes like any other tech. The machines Kim and Tank mentioned are said to cost around $25,000. But there's also the same devices, which are just a few £100s. This is another letter I've received on it. Again, I'll repeat, these are not my words. So the machines that Kim and Tank mentioned are $25,000, but there is other devices the same, which are just a few £100s. So less than $500. And they said the only difference being some devices you can test for up to 10,000 different ailments and diseases quickly and accurately using bioresonance frequencies. And basically it finds an exact match to the disease, thus giving a positive reading. This same method can be used to destroy mutated and rogue cells such as cancer. Match the frequency and it shatters like glass. This person also said, this is not new tech, by the way. This has been known for over 100 years and greatly suppressed by Big Pharma because they would lose billions, if not trillions. Royal Rife even had his own frequency devices in hospitals all around New York. No surprise. But when, after he died, they were quickly removed and forgotten about. And Mr. Rife was run over outside of a hospital, strangely enough, and was likely hit by Big Pharma people, as far back as then. Spooky 2, Biocom, True Rife, Quantum, and Biomedis. And they are just some of the bioresonance companies I've heard about and even used their devices. Some are a lot better designed than others, but all are programmable and fairly easy to use. There's pre-programmed list of around 200 plus, and you can also manually input the frequency of your choice. So that's the background on these bio machines. Now I've received some prices for the packages and sessions that are based around these machines. And the average is that 3 sessions is about $250 for 3 sessions. The follow-up is $85 for 1 hour. 90 minutes is $125 and 2 hours is $185, with 5 hours at $425. not $250 per hour. That is greed-based, and I'm asking that person to reconsider the new way of operating of need, not greed. Next category, race and divide and conquer issues. We mentioned Zimbabwe earlier, and there's a fairly major event going on in Zimbabwe, as they have now offered to return land to foreign nationals whose farms were seized under a controversial government program 2 decades ago. Thousands of white farmers were forced from their land, often violently, between 2000 and 2001. The seizures were meant to redress colonial area land grabs, but contributed to the country's economic decline and ruined relations with the West. A separate compensation scheme has been launched for local white farmers. They have not been offered land, but the government last month promised them $3.5 billion for seized infrastructure. Now, the farms were taken under a controversial land reform program that was launched by the former president Robert Mugabe, and he argued that this was to redress the colonial area land grabs, which is not correct, when much of the country's best land was reserved for the white population and black farmers were forced into marginal areas. That is misleading, as we'll find out soon. And under the program, most of the country's 4,000 white farmers, which was then the backbone of Zimbabwe's agricultural economy, were forced from their land, which was handed over to about 1 million black Zimbabweans. What was the outcome of that? Within 12 months, many Zimbabweans were starving, as they couldn't or wouldn't operate their own land, by and large. You see, everyone needs help somewhere, and the whites have been used as the scapegoats for the harvesting done by elite families at the request of Jewish elite peoples. The facts, when presented and heard, speak for themselves. The land grab was done by the Dutch, William of Orange, et al. Did you know that William of Orange is not a Dutch title? Oops, it's actually a French one. Rothschilds. The Greek government is being denounced by the National Confederation of Disabled People after it added pedophiles, exhibitionists and kleptomaniacs to the list of disabled people entitled to state benefits. They have joined pyromaniacs, compulsive gamblers, fetish people, sadomasochists as persons entitled to ask for government assistance. For example, a pyromaniac or pedophile is now entitled to disability pay up to 35%, while a diabetic is only entitled to 10% disability. Presumably, a diabetic paedophile could receive 45% disability, so it would be a very curious benefit for diabetics to claim an interest in children or fires or both. How ridiculous can you get? We'll have more on them shortly. In fact, we'll cover this now and then switch this other story around. Maybe not, because it fits in with the music. But this is one story you will not find covered extensively in the media, as it doesn't fit the profiles and labels they are directing people to follow. Antifa militant and convicted pedophile Blake David Hamp was arrested in the early hours of Saturday following his alleged stabbing of a black Trump supporter in Portland. The Trump supporter and conservative who goes by the name Black Rebel on social media posted several updates to his condition from the ambulance and also the hospital. In the Periscope livestream, he alleged that Hamp had stalked him and his group of friends for several blocks in Portland before stabbing him. And Black Rebel stated that the Antifa militants docked his identity and posted his location on social media and advised each other to watch out for him. That knife was long enough. He stabbed me to kill me, said Black Rebel, who says that he spotted Hamp, who was part of a group of Antifa, following his group of friends for several blocks before he approached Hamp to ask why he was following them. And this is what happens. And the media, in my opinion, are 100% responsible for this man's injuries and all the other violence ensuing on our streets due to their racist, divisive and pathetic attempts to create discord amongst the populace with script-driven narratives out of the agencies. 100%. Fair and balanced reporting, which was never fully the case anyway, has now given way to rampant programming of the people that is destroying our way of life. Turn on the media and shut them down. Last story before the music break. In a world where everything is becoming politically correct, which will go out of the window after the music break, pedophiles on social media have seized a new opportunity to rebrand themselves as MAPS. If only there was a flat earth and we can push them off the map. Called Minor Attracted People. And the MAP community and movements are growing in size and picking up steam, particularly on social media apps like Twitter. Funny they don't ban them, isn't it? Where the problem apparently is becoming increasingly worse. They've constructed their own flag and often described their attraction to children as a sexual orientation rather than the scientifically recognized mental illness that pedophilia is. The goal of the MAP community is to normalize pedophilia and convince those who are woke enough to begin to accept them and view them as a marginalized class. Their intent is to follow the blueprint of the LGBT acceptance, with some even insisting that pedophiles should be included within the acronym. With the insidious growth of MAPS online, more and more of these individuals are feeling brave enough to post their faces and attitudes towards those who hate them. Now, traditionally, MAPS have always hidden behind cartoon profile pictures, as anonymity was the only shield they had against a rightfully major backlash. But that's changing now, and we can now see these individuals willing to show their true selves. I am conflicted as to whether this new development of MAPS speaking out on social media with their real names and faces is a good or a bad thing. On one hand, sunlight can be the best disinfectant. If their faces are readily visible and spread online, it could potentially protect children who may have otherwise been in their vicinity. If you're an anonymous pedophile online, no one knows who to protect their children from. On the other hand, there is something truly disturbing about the fact there is an environment online being created where these monsters are comfortable enough to show their faces. It shows that their goal of acceptance and normalization is actually happening, at least to an extent. I agree with that piece 100%. And they are trying to normalise it and avoid the penal justice system alleged to be ready to be launched by the Q Group. Launch it already, because delaying it only allows these malign people an opportunity to promote their criminality and to delete justice. We'll be back shortly.